Hi everyone, it's Lehman with Lacecoveredskies. I'm here today to do a flip through of this retro journal. It's really late here again, so I might sound a little bit more quiet than usual. But this is a journal that I worked on a while ago, and I had to do some finishing touches on it. So it's kind of been delayed. The flip through has kind of been delayed, but I'm going to do it today, and I hope you like it. It's a pretty big journal. Grab my ruler. It measures 7.5 by a little over 10 inches, and then the spine is 3 inches, a 3-inch spine. So it is pretty big. Let me make sure I am in frame. Okay. Sorry for this like wire here. It's my microphone. But I used a Better Homes and Garden book. It was a cookbook about pies and cakes, and I made a new spine for it. That's the back original cover. I used a vintage sheet underneath, and then I put some lace over the top. And this is an image from one of those crochet books from, it might have been from the 60s. I just cut her out and sewed her onto this piece right here. And this piece has some collaging on it, some trim, and a vintage sheet, and some eyelet fabric. And in here, it's a pocket. The tie is a vintage sheet. All right, so with this journal, I did not use Fabri-Tac to glue this paper on, so it is a little bit bent. Like, I don't know if you can see, it's like warped a little bit, but I think it's still fine. If I could do it over again, I would use Fabri-Tac, but the fact that it kind of curves in, it makes the book feel like you could really use it. I don't know if that makes sense, but let's get into it. So I used scrapbook paper here. I really love this yellow scrapbook paper. I glued a doily right here, a pink doily. This is the same vintage sheet as the tie. This is the title page of the original book, which is from 1966, and I put some lace on the inside right here, which I really ended up liking. This is a journaling tag made out of sewing tracing paper and sewing tissue paper, I guess, a vintage ad, some more of the vintage sheet, and I tucked it in here. This is from a magazine. It was an oversized magazine. I can't remember the name of the magazine, but I backed it onto file folder, and I put it on here as a tuck spot. Rolodex card here and a vintage ad here. That's from a Sunset magazine. And behind here is a tag. This is from a Popular Mechanics book. This is another page from, forgot what magazine it's from. It might have been a National Geographic magazine. This is really cool paper that I found at an estate sale. It's ledger paper and it's transparent. So it's almost like it's tracing paper, but there's like ledger on it. And I don't have much more of it, so I'm kind of hoarding it. I hope I find more of these. This is a pocket right here made out of sewing, like a sewing pattern paper. There's a pocket back here and a little pocket right here. This is a square doily. This is an image from a magazine. I think it was a National Geographic magazine from the 50s. And this right here is just a journaling card. I used these stamps, which I love, and it just tucks back here. And part of what it's tucking behind is a little blurb about this. So this, it says, cash a check without leaving your car. You can do it in mobile. And it kind of talks about that. So I thought that was pretty cool. This is also from a National Geographic magazine. And then I put some vintage sheet. I put a lot of vintage sheets along the edge of the page because I really like how it looks when you have the book closed. All right, I'm going to go a little bit faster. This is from an old world book from the 60s. Tab right here from scrapbook paper, coffee dyed paper, journaling card from a Popular Mechanics book. This is from a Popular Mechanics book, a journaling spot. This is just an index card that I decorated up. And this is a recipe card from a Better Homes and Garden 5-ring binder. This is also from a 5-ring binder. I think it was a Decorating Better Homes and Garden binder. This is a long pocket right here. This is a slotted card that I made. So I basically cut a little slit right here. And I put this in here. But in order to keep it from falling through, put fabric back here. And then you can also journal on this side. Children's book page, ledger paper from the book itself. Just another journaling card from a Popular Mechanics book. I used some slide mounts here, and I don't know if you can see, but I used transparency that I put in between the two sheets. And then I put an image like sewn onto the transparency so it is clear. Now let me pull out these. So if you can see that, it's clear in the back. And these are just pictures from magazines. And this one as well. This is a long pocket. I really like making these long pockets. And there are some journaling cards in there. And then that's a vintage sheet just on the background for added interest. This is from a sewing 5-ring binder, one of those Better Homes and Garden ones. This is vintage lined paper. This here is a large card. I bagged most of these cards onto file folder. I love this picture. This is from a National Geographic magazine from either the 50s or the 60s. Some stamping here. I thought the gray went well with it. This is a Yahtzee scorecard. And it's a pretty old one. It's from 1956. And this is just a spot to journal on. This is the middle of the signature, and I just put some of these, some butterflies and some of these offcut pieces. Some vintage stationery, and I glued this from a rose book onto a index divider. This is from a crochet book, or like one of those sewing books. I love this picture. It's from one of those large magazines from the 60s. I don't remember the name of the magazine. This is another slotted card. So you can journal there. And a card can go in here as well. And you can do some journaling back there. The other side of that vintage lined paper, I love this paper because it's yellowed, the lines are green, and the lines are small. I love these small lines. I love the coloring on here. And it's just a long pocket with some journaling cards in there. This is from the book itself. And I really like making random tabs. And these tabs, these are just circle punches. They're all from leftover scrap of paper. Same with this. It's just leftover scrap of paper that I don't want to keep hanging there, so I just make these tabs out of it. Another long pocket here. I love how this tab looks with the gray on here. This opens out and there's a pocket inside with some journaling cards. And then it closes back up, and then you can write on this ledger paper as well. I love making tabs out of map paper. Okay, I'm at 12 minutes. This is from a National Geographic magazine. I love National Geographic magazines. And this is napkin that I got from an estate sale. I love this napkin. It reminds me of the 50s. I'm not sure why. I know it was a pretty old napkin, but I don't know if it was from the 50s, but I just love the colors. Some journaling cards. And this is a pocket in the back as well as in the front. Some more advertisements. And this right here is from a National Geographic magazine. It was an ad, so I made this into a pocket right here. And then I left the little paragraph, I sewed it onto the top above that. So I think it's interesting when you can read about the pictures in the journal. This is an old ad. I love the color. Another one of these index dividers. Another long pocket with the recipe card. And when I make these recipe cards, I leave the entire recipe. So it's kind of cool if you want to make that recipe. This is a Better Homes and Garden diagram. So that's the first signature. There are two signatures in this book, I forgot to say. The spine is a little bit thick, so the signatures are spaced out. So what I ended up doing in the middle is gluing the spine of the original book. So this is the spine that belonged to the cover, and I just thought it's like a good way to kind of keep things intact a little bit. This is from the book itself. I love the color of this picture. Coffee dyed paper and another recipe card. And this is a pocket right here and then a pocket in the back. This front image is from a Popular Mechanics book, but behind here is this large journaling card. And don't know if it'd be like if people would like this. That's why I kind of hid it back here. This is a long pocket. I love these images from the sewing 5-ring binder. And I just put some of these recipe cards in here. And this right here is also a pocket with a journaling card. This little page has a pocket sewn on with another recipe card. And so basically I just sewed an index card onto the short page. Some more long pockets with recipe cards in them. Ledger paper. This is from one of those old instruction manuals for Sunbeam. So I just took out a page and I put it in here. This is vintage graph paper, and I like it because the edges are square and the pages are pretty yellowed. This is a library card. It's a blue library card that I did some stamping on. And again, there's a short little pocket here on this small page, and it's a recipe card as well. This here is a little booklet. I put some ledger paper in here. And there's another card here made out of sewing paper. Sewing pattern instructions. So there's a pocket down here, and above it is a fabric pocket. I love making these large fabric pockets. And there's a journaling card inside. And this journaling card is actually the instructions for this right here. So they go together. And I left the entire recipe intact. It's for a whiz chocolate layer cake. But you might have to buy this cake mix, which might not exist anymore. Or it might have been altered. So here are some journaling cards on this long pocket. This here is an image from a National Geographic magazine. I love these retro images, like it just screams retro. There's a little tiny pocket here. I thought this went well with this because this is scrapbook paper, but it is reminiscent of, to me, like retro, like the retro era. Put a little tiny recipe card in there, and there's pockets on the sides. I mean, there's journaling cards in the pockets on the side. I love this also. I love this paper. This image here is from a Popular Mechanics book. It's black and white, which I didn't think really stood out. So what I did was I sewed it onto this pink cardstock, and then I added this little tuck spot here, green tuck spot, because I thought it kind of made it more interesting to the eye. Then I added some journaling cards in here. Some of the recipes that they had back then were interesting. This is chicken liver pate. This is a large journaling card. In the pocket it has a picture of some people skiing from a National Geographic magazine. This is also from a National Geographic magazine. It flips out. There's a piece of paper in here. You can journal on this paper as well as this, and right there as well. And this whole thing right here is made from a, I guess it's called a manila folder, right? Yeah. And I didn't put anything in here, but things can be stored in there. This is also from a National Geographic magazine with a big journaling card. And again, this is from National Geographic magazine. Down here is a pocket with some journaling cards. And above it is a fabric pocket again with a journaling card inside. This is from a 5-ring binder, a Better Homes and Gardening 5-ring binder. This is a vintage pattern, and it's on a file folder, the little pocket in here. And this is the back of that. It's like the back side of this. And this I reinforce with transparency paper, so it makes a pretty sturdy pocket, because it's not like it's reinforced on the inside with transparency paper. And this card is in here for journaling. I got this from Pam Van E over at Pam's Paper Place, and I love it. It reminds me of like retro era. So I added that in there. This here is a fabric pocket with a Rolodex card. I did some stamping here, and I just added a piece of a vintage sheet on with eyelet. I've been loving using eyelet lately. And this is just another Rolodex card for journaling. This here's a fabric pocket with some journaling cards in there at the other side of the envelope. Again, there's nothing in it, but I left that for anyone. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this journal yet, but whoever ends up having it, they can store it in here. This here opens up, and I made this using those hanging file folders. It opens out like this. This can be journaled on, and this is a pocket. And then there's a journaling card here, and journaling can happen there. This is a sheer pocket made out of this gingham fabric. It's sheer gingham. It's not vintage, but I thought it was a cool pattern, so I used that there. This here is a tuck spot. I think I'll add this in here. And then this is a small tiny pocket with 2 little journaling cards, and they're advertisements. Journaling can happen back here. There's a little pocket here, and this is again from Pam. Thank you, Pam. I thought it went well in here. Another small, I think this is from a pamphlet, like a cookbook pamphlet. I made a little pocket, and then there's a journaling card in there. Vintage graph paper. Another one of those informational pamphlets. And this is one of those cards again, the slotted cards. And there's that card in there. I love making these slotted cards because you can kind of play with the paper in the back, and then the fabric, and then the card that goes in it. So you kind of play around with the colors. And I really love this color combination right here. There's a pocket in the back. You can put a card in here, and then journaling can happen there. This is a Rolodex card in this pocket. And then this is a little small pocket on the side with one of these cards. I love this picture. This is from a National Geographic magazine from the 50s or 60s, and I put the little blurb right here. It makes a side tuck, and it says, Memphis shops buy electronics in a Key-Doozle grocery store. So this is a Key-Doozle grocery store. And it goes on to say, press a button for each selection. Key-Doozle punches holes in your tape. An electronic selecting device deciphers the tape and picks out your order. I think that is just so cool. Let me hold it up. It's so cool to see things from back then. And I guess back then this is really high tech. I mean, to me it kind of seems, it's not really a vending machine because it keeps track of what you're ordering. But that is just awesome. I don't know if it's focusing. But yeah, so I really like to leave the article that goes with it, or like the little blurb, the informational blurb. This is a large card in the back here. And again, I love mixing colors. Like this is kind of a bland page, but then when you add the tab on, it just adds interest. This is a pocket down here. It's from a children's Betty Crocker cookbook. And this serves as this pocket down here, and this is a larger pocket up here, but they go together. So these are the instructions for making this right here. And in there are just some journaling cards. This is a large journaling card. And then in the back, this is made from a sewing 5-ring binder page. And there's a little card in there. And then the back, I don't remember if it made, yeah, this is a pocket. And I love this yellow paper. Okay, so I got through that. It's pretty thick. I was originally going to make it 3 signatures, but then it just got too out of control. But I hope you enjoyed this flip through. I enjoyed making this. It's been a while since I made it, so it was really fun to kind of go back through and look at everything. But I hope you enjoyed this flip through. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye everyone.